Hello. So, Tuomas from Futurice, and when we talk about growth, so first of all, so we build digital services for big corporations, and we innovate their new businesses, but very much actually we help them to build digital innovation cultures. And we've been also, when we talk about growth, we actually sort of like been awarded twice the best place to work in Europe, and that has a really lot of things to say about our growth challenges. So of course we've grown in terms of revenue, we've grown in terms of people, so now we are 450 people. 12 years ago we were like a couple of tens of people. But the really key topic is how to manage growth in terms of like still keeping the small company attitude and the small company culture. And that's why when we are talking about growth, it's about balancing on the edge of order and chaos. So typically when trying to scale the company from real small startup to actually a big company, it becomes actually quite sort of like fixed company, it becomes a real company, but actually to keep the energy levels, to keep the sort of the momentum ongoing, we need to actually have a lot of freedom, a lot of autonomy, trust and transparency, which is actually quite challenging in a large organization. But that's the whole story about our growth.
Thanks, Tuomas. Next up, we have Zina from Antwork.
Hi, everyone. Co-working has become an industry that is very fast growing. It is a global industry that has came across 5-6 years ago and has been growing so fast that everyone wants to catch up with it. As you know, in 2016, there has been 11,000 co-working spaces around the world. In 2017, we're at 14,000. So that's 30% growth in 1 year. You can imagine where it's going because startups, entrepreneurs, freelancers are just popping up everywhere, all over the world, in emerging markets, mature markets, and anywhere you can think of. Antwork is a platform that actually nurtures this global co-working culture. It does that by converting any space, any commercial space, into a co-working space through the integration of a platform, of a technology that can provide space owners, mainly people with an underused asset, the tools and equipment and the access to people as well as services to provide the co-working space in a few weeks and be up and running and join the network. Antwork is a network of a global workforce that's growing globally and that is growing very fast. It is very low on capital investment. It has a very interesting geographic advantage because any space in any country with a different language can actually access the platform and use it to automate its own space. It's an enabling ecosystem and it's a scalable model. We have started a co-working space in Beirut in March 2017. Today we have 3,000 members using this platform, and we're growing outside of Lebanon, moving to Europe. Lisbon being our next location, Prague is coming up next, and any space that would be interested to join the network can just sign up and join it and become part of this new work culture. Co-working is not a space, it's not a service, it's not just a community, it's actually a culture. And the culture is changing and we're just pushing it forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zina. Next up, please welcome Roger from Bitlinka, Inca Pay.
Hello guys, as you mentioned, my name is Roger. I'm the CEO of Bitlinka and Inca Pay. We're a Latin American platform. We're actually two platforms. We have Bitlinka, which is a cryptocurrency exchange. I think crypto is in the world of everyone now after Bitcoin surpassed gold. We have local presence in Latin America, Europe, Asia, and we handle 4 cryptocurrencies right now. What we saw was a common trend in Latin America. We have different fiat currencies in all these countries. So we saw a common trend of people buying, let's say, for example, Peruvian soles, Bitcoin with Peruvian soles, and selling those Bitcoins for Venezuelan bolívares. We saw that trend going, being really often, so we decided to create a new tool, a new revolutionary tool, which is called Inca Pay. What does Inca Pay does? does exactly what you explained, but it targets mainstream. So somebody from Peru working with your local bank wants to send money to, let's say here, Portugal. If they use Syncopay, that turns into Bitcoin. Then from Bitcoin, it turns into euros within 30 minutes at the lowest rate in the market. It's at 1.5%. We have a local presence in over 17 countries right now. We have over 35,000 users. And let me show you a little video of how this actually works. Okay, hope you like the video. If you have any questions after this, and after this panel, we'll be more than glad to answer them.
Cheers, thank you so much. Finally, please give a huge welcome to Leon from Space.
Hi everyone, and thank you for having us at Web Summit. Space connects the higher education community with student rental properties near campuses in a market worth £6.2 billion in the UK alone. Here, students and landlords are beset by a host of different issues as they are under-equipped with the tools to cohabit with others from around the world. I noticed many of these issues during my time as a student ambassador, but for now I'm just going to focus on some of the more fundamental ones. Cool. As the cost of higher education rises, students are burdened by increasing debt. We make it easier for them by not requiring a deposit or subjugating them to joint tenancy liability. And guarantors, we partnered with Experian, the largest credit agency in the world, to pre-verify parents ahead of tenancies and enable their children to accrue a credit rating by paying their rent on time. You wouldn't stay in a hotel without checking the reviews beforehand, and Space makes this possible by allowing students and landlords to rate the experience of each other at the beginning and at the end of the tenancy. This is particularly important for students who are living independently for the first time. What's more is we wanted to quicken the rental process, particularly for international students who often can take months to find a suitable property in their country of study. With Space, students can find a property in as few as 5 clicks, and for landlords, we've created a custom landlord dashboard where they can find tenants, monitor rental income, and access data analytics all in one place. It's been a busy year for Space, and following an oversubscribed seed round, we've pre-registered over 15,000 students. This number is slightly outdated, and 50,000 rooms for both private individuals and global real estate firms. Our launch is now underway in the UK with a campaign to be seen by over 17 million people. This, coupled with national and local press coverage, has been achieved ahead of an intended financing round in Q1 2018. If you'd like to talk, grab either myself or a member of our team who are proudly wearing Space jackets at the back. We'd love to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leon. Oh, no, yeah, you can just give it. Clearly, all four of you have had remarkable success with rapid scale. In terms of making that rapid impact in your respective markets, what do you feel has been your sort of key USP that set you apart from your competitors?
We've got a few. I'd say the one that perhaps is most impressive is our experience with our partnership with Experian. Students are massively neglected from financial products, and the reason being is because banks don't understand how to value the risk associated with student financial behavior. But what we found with Experian was that paying your rent on time is illustrative of good financial behavior, and so we've been able to incorporate those metrics into informing credit ratings and allow students to acquire debt, or at least make it easier to acquire debt at the end of their tenancy. For landlords, this has been quite good because I guess it acts as a good behavioral incentive for students to pay their rent on time.
For yourself, Tuomas, obviously in your charts, you had incredible growth. What would you put that down to? I
would actually put it down to people and culture. Sort of like, I think the sort of the I think we were really worried about our culture when we were smaller. What are we when we are 300 people or 400 people? But now it's still our sort of key strength. And actually, it's also the key reason why customers buy from us. So of course they buy our skills, but very much the culture. So they want a similar kind of culture. They want a cultural transformation, and that's the sort of the really driving force in the whole company.
Yeah, because a lot of people talk very, very clearly about funding, how every startup needs funding, but I guess it's what you do with that funding. How important is it to grow a team with the vision and the values that buy into what it is that you're doing as a company?
Vision and culture are the main drivers for a company to grow. I think that if the team members that join you and don't share the same vision, they can take you in a direction that might actually hurt you. So identifying the right talent, but the right personality, the right drive, and the right vision is actually very important when recruiting, when growing your team, or even recruiting a co-founder or a partner. It's one of the main components that get a company from small to medium to large size moving forward.
Well, yeah, I think a vision and drive leads to innovation, and innovation leads you to have any kind of obstacle you see in the way. So I think a team with a great vision, be motivated and innovative can lead to awesome things.
Fantastic. Obviously, with the growth that you guys have went through, trying to move the needle at the various different stages of your company in terms of looking at your channels and how you develop those channels, how have you seen that in terms of building the processes to really refine and define the various acquisition channels that you have at a various set point in your company? Because obviously, whenever you're starting off, you may be looking for, say, 5,000 to 10,000 users or installs per month. But then as you get up to move the needle, you need to be looking at 100,000 to 1 million. How do you do that, and how do you refine your channels so that they don't dry up?
I mean, I would say it's an iterative process. I don't think you can predefine those, but I think for any entrepreneur, it's about having the willingness to put their feet in the shallow end of the pool and see how those work in a very small area. And as and when there is success, using those acquisition channels and scaling up very quickly. That perhaps is the preferred approach as opposed to trying everything on a mass scale and then scaling back.
In terms of the process behind that, do you guys take a data-driven approach in terms of understanding when you've hit that tipping point to really double down on a particular channel, or is it very much like a feel around, we just know this is working?
Well, that's a good question. Something actually we face, we've been facing the past couple of months. There's a lot of digital media, digital marketing that it's the main point for traction, but the customers we target are mainstream customers with, for example, Inkabay, which leads to mainstream media. And this separates the different channels of the acquisition channels, which make it pretty interesting how it tips like from millennials using more digital media than to normal mainstream people, older people that target more to mainstream.
Fantastic. Leading on from that, what do you guys see as the biggest risk to growth? Anybody? I'm easy for anybody.
I would say reputation. I would say reputation. Once your reputation is tarnished, it's very hard to expand into other markets. And this is why a lot of companies, I guess, having achieved a certain level of growth, tend to rebrand if they've hit some barriers, because brand is extremely important, and it's an asset. And once that's damaged, you quite often have to find a new asset in replacement. So that's what I would say.
I think the reputation is really important, and in addition, I would actually put after sort of growth, suddenly realize that you actually also need to renew, sort of like, and that's also really key sort of for the success. That although you grow and you're successful, but that success might become your biggest sort of threat actually in the future.
Just want to add a point to what Leon said. I think values are what drive your reputation. And if you have the right values in place, then it will drive your brand, it will drive your name, your vision, and it will be actually visible to everyone. So you can maintain that reputation intact as you move forward.
Well, value and reputation, we agree on that. And reputation and innovation, I think both are the two main things to target for.
Anybody in the audience, does anybody got any questions they would like to ask the panelists themselves? Obviously, we've heard some great stuff. Anything anybody wants to ask? Okay. So for you guys, just wrapping up, if you could give a couple of key pieces of advice or guidance to somebody who's running growth within their organization or for their startup, what do you think those key pieces of advice would be?
Do I have to go first?
I'll take one from all of you. So let's start with you.
I think I'm going to reiterate on my past point, which is don't be scared to go out there and put something out and try things, but reputation is, without a doubt, the most important part of your business. You can have the greatest business in the world, a great team, all the functionality, but ultimately, if people don't trust your brand, then I think that you are positioning yourself for failure. And hence, investing in that, investing in the team who can help you build a brand which is trustworthy and can scale, I think is perhaps the most important thing over the functionality of the business itself, because you're never going to have that in the early stages. That can be built later.
Since we're going in order, I would say hard work and innovation. I say this, I believe this really strongly. We come from South America. We see a lot of startups that actually just copycat somebody else. Somebody did this in Australia, so we're going to bring it to Peru. We change the name and we start from zero. That for me, especially I don't see innovation in that. It's just you're just copying something. Actually, it's cheaper just to buy a white label, for example. No, so I think hard work and innovation is what I would say.
I think you should just focus on the target and move forward. Never look back. Do not look on your sides. Do not look at competition. Competition will only bring you down. You need to focus on the end user rather than the person in front of you trying to do the same. And if you believe in your values, if you believe in your value proposition, you will make it stand out and you make it happen. You just need to believe and move forward.
I would say that the key piece of advice is that when you grow, you will go through different growth stages, but don't become a real company. Because when you become a real company, you become slow, you lose the innovation, you lose the energy levels. So don't become a real company.
Thank you so much, guys. Sorry, Zina, was there something else you wanted to add?
I just want to say what we're doing is actually fighting the corporate world, trying to create something new. So yes, if we end up becoming them, it's a problem.
It's always true. Again, that's us. So please give a massive round of applause for panelists. They've been great. And thank you guys for sitting in and listening in. And I hope everybody enjoys themselves tonight. And that is us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.